Mother's Day or Grandmother's Day. I'm Sharon, I'll be your MC this morning. Welcome to today's Dharma family service. Before we begin our service, I'd like to welcome two special guests. Reverend Earl, Nikita. Where is that? Oh, he's up there. And his partner Randy here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Let's begin our service by singing the Banana Tisarana together in Pali and English. Please rise if you are able.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Amen to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Buddhassa.
Okay, please be seated. This morning, let us chant the Sutra Jusei, the verses reaffirming the vow, which is in the red service book, or it will be shown on the screen. This morning, our guest speaker, Reverend Earl, Nikita, will lead us in the chanting.
Sorry, you changed the plan.
Change your plan. Okay.
So I'll be doing it.
Okay.
Holy Let's sit quietly together for a few moments. So just relax and get comfortable. If you are able, sit forward in your seat and place both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight and align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes and just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. In and out. As you breathe in, you'll feel energy filling your body. And as you breathe out, any stress or worries in your mind just fade away. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation. Navanda, Vitsanavanda, Vitsanavanda, Vitsanavanda. Not more than that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let us recite the golden chain of love together. Let us begin. I am a link
in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind to
every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself.
I will
Try to think pure and beautiful thoughts,
to
say pure and beautiful words,
and to do pure and beautiful deeds,
knowing that what I do now depends not only on my happiness or my happiness,
but also that of others. May everything in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace.
Now, okay. We'll now have the children's Dharma story time.
Sorry.
What happened to the incense?
Offertory.
Okay. All right. So this is the offertory.
Yeah, sorry. I think I must have deleted the slide, so it's
We're,
incense offering.
we're good with change. So it's now time for our offering of incense. Okay.
So contented with all the slides.
Thank you very much. Now we'll have the children's Dharma story time.
Maybe. Okay. Live from Makawao, it's Children's Dharma Story Time, starring Barkley the dog, Barkley the dog, and Lucy the ladybug. Sorry. And Lucy the ladybug, with special guests Green Snoopy and Kermit the Gasho Frog. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Aloha It's me, Barkley the dog. Oops, sorry. How y'all be doing this fine Sunday morning? I hope you're well and feeling fine. Well, hello for joining us here in the historic Makawao town on the beautiful island of Maui in the great state of Hawaii. Well, good morning. Aloha kako. Aloha for everyone. I'm so happy to see you this morning. Barkley, let's put on our super cool magic glasses from Maui Optics and see who's with us here this morning. Well, that's a great idea, Lucy. Let's see. Well, I can see Kalina and Tyrus and Tori Benji and Lennon Comet and then I got Gloria Golden, and Kenneth and Lindsay and Sierra and Wesley and Johnny Ice and Cruise Tag and Maddie in Colorado and Melody and Cadence and Honolulu with sensei buddies around the world. Hey, wait. Thank you, and mahalo, arigato, eshe, thank you. And we have a great story for you this morning. That's right, Berkeley, it's one of Sensei's favorite stories. The Sound of Silence by Katrina Gold-Saito
illustrated by Julio Kuhl. Little Yoshio wiggled with anticipation. 3, 2, 1. He threw open the front door. The sounds of the city swirled all around him. Tokyo was like a symphony hall. Yoshio listened to the sound of his boots squishing and squashing through the puddles, and the tiny raindrops pattering on his umbrella. The sound of his giddy giggles made him giggle more. Suddenly, Yoshio heard the strangest sound, high and then low, squeaky and vibrating. Amazing. It was a koto player carefully tuning her instrument. Then the koto player played. The notes were twangy and twinkling, and they tickled Yoshio's ears. When the song finished, Yoshio said, "Sensei, I love sounds, but I've never heard a sound like that." The koto player laughed, and it sounded like the metal bell that swayed in the wind in Mama's garden. "Sensei," Yoshio said, "do you have a favorite sound?" "The most beautiful sound," the koto player said, "is the sound of ma, of silence." "Silence?" Yoshio asked. But the koto player just smiled a mysterious smile and went back to playing. Yoshio bowed to the koto player and ran to school. Where can I find silence? Yoshio wondered as he listened to the thwack of his boots on the pavement. He listened for it through the school day, but there was always some kid making noise. At recess, the sun came out, and Yoshio went to the quietest place he knew, the bamboo grove at the edge of the playground. But even here, the bamboo made a take, take, take sound as the wind banged its stalks together. He closed his eyes and heard the swish, swish, swish of the wind, making the leaves talk. It was beautiful, but it wasn't silence. Walking home from school, Yoshio listened hard. He could hear the horns of buses and the whoosh of bullet trains and the beep, beep, beep of the traffic lights, but no silence. Yoshio knew so many different sounds, loud and soft, sudden and soothing. But silence? Where was silence? It wasn't in the dining room, where there was always the sound of chopsticks and slurping and chewing and swallowing. What a noisy family. Silence wasn't in the bath, where even his toes made noise, and little droplets of water kept dripping off his nose. Drip, drip, drip. That night, Yoshio tried to stay up late to catch the silence while his family slept. But his eyes got heavy and then heavier, and soon the sound of a distant radio became part of his dreams. The next morning, Yoshio woke up to his neighbor's dog barking and barking, and oh no, he had missed the silence. Yoshio walked to school early. His sisters whizzed by on their way to the park, screeching Yoshio's name. Where was silence? Yoshio heard the creak of the school gates as he pulled them open. No one was at school yet. He put on his inside shoes and listened as they shuffled on the shiny floor. The classroom felt different without anyone in it. He sat at his desk by the window and pulled out a book. He loved this story, and as he read, he forgot where he was. Suddenly, in the middle of the page, he heard it. No sounds of footsteps, no people chattering, no radios, no bamboo, no kotos being tuned. In that short moment, Yoshio couldn't even hear the sound of his own breath. Everything felt still inside him, peaceful like the garden after it snowed. like feather-stuffed futon drying in the sun. Silence had been there all along. It had been there between the thumps of his boots when he ran, when the wind stopped for just a moment in the bamboo grove at the end of his family's meal, when everyone was happy and full, after the water finished draining from his bath, before the koto player's music began, and hovering in the air right after it ended. It was between and underneath every sound. It had been there all along. Ma. Silence. The end. And the book continues with an afterword which discusses the Japanese concept of ma a little bit more, which is quite interesting. Also, it says that Yoshio is a collector of sounds. Do you know what this sound is? Za. Za. Nobody, huh? That's the Japanese sound for when it's raining, when it's pouring. The sound of pouring rain. Za. Za. So anyway, there's a couple other ones which are kind of interesting. The book is dedicated to little Yoshios everywhere, and that's from KG, and to my loving parents from JK. The back covers has profiles of Katrina and Julia. And that was the sound of silence. Hey, wasn't that a great story? What part did you like? Really? I love that part too. Say, Lucy, the ladybug, the love of my life, what part did you like? Well, mahalo for asking, Berkeley. I love the way you can hear new things when you listen to silence between the sounds. Well, that's right, Lucy. Let me demonstrate the Japanese idea of ma. The sound of sounds between the sounds. It goes something like this. Baby! Oh, Berkeley, always the rascal. That's why I love you. Oh, shucks. Now I'm all shy. I love you too. Give some love. Let's be sacred some love. Ooh, okay. Let's give everybody some love. Ooh, ooh-wee, sensei, show us your mouth. The sound of silence between the sounds. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ooh-wee, you got a humdinger with ma right there, sensei. Okay, do that again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, everybody out in the audience, let's just show us your mouth. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey, you already got your mask on. I can't see if you're opening your mouth. That's okay. Sensei, ooh, okay. Okay, Sensei. Oh, you're a rascal too. Sorry. Oh, Sensei, you're a rascal too. Uh-oh, Sensei can't talk now. Good thing we have a guest speaker this morning. Aloha, Dharma buddies. Mahalo for watching. Be good. Fade to black. Okay, Sharon, if you would introduce our guest speaker, please.
Okay. All right. This morning, we welcome Reverend Earl Nikita, who is a retired Kaikyoshi minister of Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji Ha. Many of you know Reverend Earl from his years of service at the West Kauai Hongwanji, Puna Hongwanji, and overseeing the Alehu and the Pahal temples, and Mo'ili Hongwanji, 2000 to 2014. Reverend Nikita then serves the Buddhist Churches of America assigned to the New York and Seabrook Buddhist temples, where he served until retiring in December 2021. Reverend Earl Nikita was born and grew up on the Big Island of Hawaii and received the Bachelor of Arts in Japanese from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Reverend Ikeda later attended Yokoku University and Kiyoshi Kenshu Sho Study Center for Overseas Ministry in Kyoto, Japan. Reverend Nikita received his Tokudo ordination in 1972, came back to Hawaii to do something completely different, and returned to Kyoto in 2000, receiving his Kyoshi certification and subsequent assignment as Kaikyoshi minister to the Hongkong Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii. Please welcome our guest speaker, Reverend Earl Nikita.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First of all, I hope you don't mind if I take off my mask. It's a bit difficult. Thank you. It's nice to be back in Hawaii after a very long time. Moved to the mainland New York City actually in 2014, February. And because of COVID, everything else, so it's been a while. But it's really nice to be here, and thanks to Reverend Kiyokara and of course Mimi-san. We're able to be invited to stay at the quiz or the Minister Presence here at the temple. Some of you may remember that I came here several years ago. I'm not sure exactly when. It was during the time or tenure of Reverend Kaosaru. He invited me, very good friends, so that was my last time. And of course I see the Nishidas back there, and I know Nishidas from Kauai, from the West Kauai Hongwanji. So when Paul knew I was coming here, he said, "You want to stay at my father's house?" So I stayed at Nishida. So first time to stay at the residence, so it's very, very nice. But during this long time that all of you have been here, I know everybody has been kind of shaky and not sure what to do with COVID and everything else too. But things are getting a little bit better. Still no power yet, but a little better. But it's just a matter of everybody putting our efforts together to make everything come out really nice. This morning I'd like to reflect upon some of the things that happened in my life, which I thought were important to me, and given the opportunity, I'm going to grab them. But anyway, if you'd like to help me, in this great book here, we have the Bubun Show, Shonin Chiru no Show. I'd like to read and start with that. And if you would like to follow or just bow your heads in meditation, it would be very nice. 上人一流のご関係の趣は真意をもって本当せられそうそのゆえはもろもろの造業を投げ捨てて一心に乱に君をすれば不可思議の眼力として仏の偏り往生は事情せしめたもそのくらいは一年発起優勝女子中とも釈しその上の称名念仏た如来我が往生定めたまいし言法人の念仏と心べきなりあなかしこあなかしこ What is taught in the tradition of Jodo Shinshu, or from the founder Shinran Shonin, is that the entrusting heart is most essential. For when we abandon various unnecessary practices and simply take refuge in Amida by calling his name with a singleness of heart, our birth in the Pure Land is established, is guaranteed by the Buddha to the inconceivable value of invincible power. Thus, the state we thus attain is described as, in quotes, is awakening of a single thought of entrusting. We join those who are in the stage of the truly settled. End of quote. Recitation of the Nembutsu thereafter should simply be understood as a way of recalling the Buddha's name as an expression of gratitude for the Buddha's benevolence, for sending our birth, for sharing our birth in a land of bliss. Humbly and respectfully, Namo Amida Butsu. I've been a Buddhist all my life, and I think as I reflect upon my early days, everybody went to samurai movies, yeah. And I remember going to samurai movies, Chambara, every Sunday. And I came across a movie series that took 3 years, and there was the story of Musashi Miyamoto. Some of you remember that. And I said, oh, I gotta be a samurai. I really wanted to be a samurai. I followed everything that Musashi did, read the Book of Five Rings, etc., etc. And I said, you know, and I even took kendo to become a samurai.
But then I guess times have changed. And I realized I couldn't be a samurai because of an age, even if I was a little boy with that aspiration. But I needed something to balance me out. And it was through a complicated, interesting network of karmic causes and conditions that I would go to temple every Sunday. My mom had gotten ill, so I stayed with my aunt, her sister. And the stipulation, the rule was, if you stay in my house, you got to go to church on Sunday. Okay, and I like to stay, well, you got to go there. Okay. So after studying something about Shinran or Jodo Shinshu, not much, but still a small boy yet, I realized that two individuals had a great impact on my life. Musashi Miyamoto and Shinran Shonin. So people ask me, why sensei? Well, because a lot of people know that Musashi Miyamoto, being the greatest samurai in Japanese history, did all his battles with a blade. So it was always a matter of life and death. You couldn't second think, okay, especially if a blade is coming your way. You couldn't second think. And yet, the balance of Shinran Shonin, who says, come as you are. This is who I am, a simple bakatari, but yet. And I said to myself, wow. So it became the focus of my life. It was in the year 1971 that I had the opportunity to go to Kyoto to study. So having some background in studying Japanese history, culture, and language, I thought this is my opportunity. So what was supposed to have been just a 1-2 year thing ended up as being 5 years. And that's another story we can talk about, but not today. While I was there, I had the great privilege of meeting many wonderful teachers who made me aware to, wait a minute, it isn't just this, there's something very, very deep in the teachings of the Buddha. But yet a person like me, not too smart, no, had a hard time understanding, but this is something I said, I think I can sink my teeth into. So at the occasion of Shinran's 800th birthday, because I was asked to be one of the guys to escort thousands of people every day for 2 months into Honzan. I said, why did people come here? Why do people come to pay homage or pay respect to this man called Shinran? And as I was watching these ceremonies, which was in the morning, afternoon, it reminded me of my grandmother. So I think my grandmother was a great influence. My grandmother was from Hiroshima, like most of us, grandparents from first generation. And what I simply remembered, my grandmother never said much. And people who are Issei worked very, very hard. Never idle hands. If it was raining, then she would be sewing something, whether it's a kimono, zabuton, futon, or something, or just simply doing something. Something else to make the house look nice. But really what stuck in my brain was in the morning, her first words always, Nam Mandab, Nam Mandab, Nam Mandab, Nam Mandab. And I would go with Obachan to temples, and I didn't understand what she meant. And being, I guess, perhaps a favorite of Grandma, I would stay with her, and her last words were always, Nam Mandab, Nam Mandab, Nam Mandab, Nam Mandab. And back then, some of you may remember, when you went to temple, a lot of Isseis were still around, and they would all rush to the front and go, Nam Mandab, to see who could say Nam Mandab the loudest and perhaps, and seem the most, devoted. So being there in Kyoto to see thousands of individuals literally rush, these Ji-chan, Ba-chan, rush to the front, and brought back memories of Obachan. But I remember when I used to go to temple with Obachan, and all the Ji-chan, Ba-chan was loudly saying, Nabada. He got like, Ba-chan, shame, you know. Ba-chan, shh. But see it, not realizing that many years after, Obachan was trying to perhaps say something to me. So when I went to Kyoto, met all these wonderful teachers and students, I can say perhaps, I may not truly understand the essence of Onenbutsu, but this is something perhaps I can take into my life. So during that, after that, I took me to Tokudo, and later on, skipping the story to the year 2000, when I was asked to go to Kauai to help Ishama Sensei, who was a bishop's secretary, take his position for a few months, 3 months actually. There was something different. I cannot explain. And finally the bishop said to me, Nikita, would you consider becoming a full-fledged minister? I was already in my 50s, and I said, and my wife happened to be there, we're talking, and she said, do you have a choice? You know how makuli you are really. Okay, Bishop, I think so. So it was in the year 2000 that I had made plans, said yes, and went to Kyoto to finish my schooling. But there was something that happened in preparation. It was in August of 2000. And in preparation, you know, we had to memorize Shoshin and Utsuge. So I would go every morning, and then as I was chanting, I could hear a voice say to me, you're still stuck on it, aren't you? And I'm talking to this voice as I'm chanting, saying, what do you mean? You know what I'm talking about. No, I don't know. You know what this voice is saying to me. And as a minister, and I think like a lot of people, the question was, does Anita really exist? And as I was listening to this, the voice just said to me, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. You know that Anita in some way exists. Just let go and allow your life to go on. Just let go. And if you're going to be a minister, the main issues that you need to face, prepare yourself for those. There is nothing greater than Namo Amida Butsu. Went to Kyoto, finished up, came back, and I did a lot of, stay in Kauai until the year 2002, where I met, again, a lot of wonderful people. And I think, you know, a minister's life is rough. Please, it is rough. So take care of a good minister, okay? But along the way, I must say that I met many, many wonderful people. I got involved with hospice, went to the hospital, went here and there. And as I reflect upon all these people I've met, they become wonderful teachers in helping me to understand something about life. From Kauai, I went back to Big Island, and that's where I saw Jan Nakamura. She was a member of Hongwanji. And I stayed there for almost 10 years, and we had a lot of fun. And this is where I kind of became friends with everybody. Went to Honolulu to Mo'iliili Hongwanji. And when I was at Mo'iliili Hongwanji, there was the first Jodo Shinshu Overseas Ministers meeting. I can't remember what it was called, acronym. But I went there. At the time, the bishop was Reverend Umezu, who had just become the bishop of BCA. And he kept going around saying, "Who? Nobody wants to go. Nobody wants to go." And we looked at him saying, "Sensei, what are you talking about? Or where are you talking about? Nobody wants to go to New York." And he said, "Why, Sensei?" "Because it's cold. It's so far away. There's nothing Japanese over there. So nobody wants to go." And of course, the majority of the ministers are all from Japan here. So I could understand. I said, "Oh, okay, okay." And he kept on doing that for about 5 days. And on the final day, which was Friday, he came around saying, "Nobody wants to go. Is there anybody here who wants to go?" And I raised my hand. "But you're from Hawaii." I said, "Sensei, if you're very sincere about trying to find somebody, would you please consider me?" "Oh, okay then, as long as you're not joking." And things led to one to another. And it was finally in the year 2014, in February, that I had the green light to go to New York. In the meantime, I had many friends who were already established on the West Coast, BCA, Buddhist Churches of America, and they kept on saying, "Come on, Sensei, you gotta come mainland. Hawaii wastes time." And I said, "I don't want to go to Japan." No, we said West Coast. And I said, "When I see West Coast, it seems like I'm going back to Japan, not to America." And there was a group of us in Hawaii who said, we need to make Jodo Shinshu more presentable to everyone. And it's not about being in Japan. We need to find something that's suitable, applicable to people of Hawaii, people of America. So I said, for that reason, I said, I'm not going to the West Coast. I'm not going to Japan. But when New York came, I visited there before going, twice actually. And I said, wait a minute. I think what caught my ear was everybody said, we are Dharma-centered. We are Dharma-centered. We want to learn and we want to promote the Dharma. It was that feeling that said, maybe I want to go there. And on my second trip, because they were celebrating their, I think it was 75th anniversary, I said, I gotta come here. There was something about New York that said I needed to be there. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what's in New York that we don't have in Hawaii? Aloha. We have aloha in New York. And I said, because of Lilo and Stitch, I think the word of ohana, the word of aloha, has become somewhat commercialized. And I guess in the process of growing up in Hawaii for many years, we forgot what the essence of aloha is. And yet when I went to New York, without them knowing, they shared aloha. And I said, I think aloha exists here. So of course when I was there, for my 8 years, I started to promote Hawaii things like ohana, the meaning of aloha and things like that, which they kind of remember me by. Actually, they remember me more for my cooking than my messages. It was a wonderful time, and people, when I came back, said, Sensei, what do you want to go to hell for? Everyone referred to New York as being hell. And I said, because I've come to realize that in hell there is a Pure Land. These wonderful people who go out of their way to make you feel comfortable. Yes, it is true that people of New York are like, you know, very, for whatever reason, they walk very fast. And they're walking fast too, I don't know why. But yet they'll go out of their way to help you out. Several times, being at the subway station as a newbie to New York, they'll come up and say, oh, you look like you're a visitor, looking for someplace? How do you get to here? How do you get to there? Come, because the nearest subway was 103, which is a one line, which is one of the major lines on the west side of New York. I'm going down that direction. So we'd go on and say, this is what you do, this is what you do. And there are several times when you get off, I'm still looking around like I'm not sure where I'm going to go. From their side, they would say, come, I'm going that direction, I take you. That's what New York is like. It's not all the things that you necessarily see on the crime shows and whatever. There is crime, okay, but there's also this great sense of warmth among the people. And I began to realize that this concept of aloha is universal, okay? It comes in, you don't have to give it a name, but it's a universal thing. So I think going back to all those different things and realizing what I've experienced, this Gobuncho I just read now has been read by New York Buddhist Church for every Sunday service. I have MAs and they all take chances reading Gobuncho or something else. And yet, what I've learned recently, what I appreciate is some of a phrase in there which I'll explain to you later on. But I think what has really helped me in recent years to understand something about Onenbutsu as was opened up, awakened to us by Shinran Shonin, is the first two lines of the Shoshin Nembutsuge. Kimyo Munyo Jinronai, Namo Fukashigi Ko. I take refuge in the Buddha, immeasurable life. And when I spoke to my Tibetan friends about what this means, because it's the definition of what is known as Amitabha Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, that which is necessary to sustain my life, the countless causes and conditions, that for countless numbers of eons of time has always been looking me to say, Nikita, open your eye. I'm right in front of you. It sustains me, keeps me going. And the second line, I entrust myself to the Buddha of inconceivable life, Fukashigi Ko. And I think this phrase became very clear to me in 2014. A friend of mine was a Tibetan Buddhist, said, I'm in charge of the Dalai Lama's conference or lecture here in New York City. and you have to sit on the same stage as the Dalai Lama. So for 2 days I have to sit Japanese style, seiza, my leg hurt like hell, but to listen to his lecture. And it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And it was explained to me because at our temple we have some rooms for short-term visitations, and the Western doctor for the Dalai Lama stayed with us. So we went to lectures in the morning, and he looked at me and said, "Do you understand?" I said, "I'm having difficulty." He said, "Yes, it's a variant. I'm sure 90% of the great teachers sitting in there don't understand it either, so don't worry." But then, at the last 15 minutes of a 2-day lecture, the Dalai Lama said, he began to explain. And he said, the essence of a Buddha is inconceivability. You cannot truly understand what a Buddha is. There's no way to truly, picture, define. However, it is an energy that reaches out to each and every one of us to say, here I am, here I am. And because of the great practice of all Buddhas, the 6 paramitas, the first being Dharma, and here in America we often refer to as unconditional. It refers to the Buddha's unconditional vow, especially in the sense of Amitabha Buddha. I'm here for you. Come as you are. I'm not asking you to change. I'm not asking you to be anything else except yourself. To whammo, I went back to Shinran. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. And then it became somewhat clear because, and probably this is the reason why I decided I would like to retire. Hearing the Dalai Lama and understanding that, because he did say at the end, if you think you know, it comes from where? Your ego. Whoa, that's a big whammy. Here I am, I thought I'm a Kyoshi, so I have the right to say something. But here he's saying, if it's coming from you, and you alone, it's probably your ego that's speaking. He didn't say it was wrong. He just said, study some more, some more, some more. Always seek, always seek. And so it came back to Shinran. As Shinran was alive, I take refuge in the Buddha of inconceivable light. Of course, light is the metaphor for seeing things more clearly. And so here's this Buddha saying, again, come as you are. And we have a terminology that we use, Sesshu Fusa. Sesshu Fusa means to be embraced, never to be abandoned. Once you reflect upon, once you think about the Buddha, once you call the Buddha's name, no matter what the situation, the Buddha has made a promise to embrace me, a Bhakatari like me, unconditionally, and say there's a place for you when the time comes to go home. So I reflect upon all these different things. It's been an interesting journey. It's been a time for me to look within, because there's a teacher called Nobu Haneda Sensei. He's an instructor at the Maeda Center. And he had weekly lectures, which we would zoom into. And he would say, Buddhism, this is Sensei talking now, is not a universal teaching. It is a teaching that embraces each and every one of us. It is a teaching that addresses you, addresses me individually just as we are. When I heard that, I said, wow. Maybe that voice that said to me in the year 2000, are you still stuck in it? Don't waste your time. Was trying to tell me something. And all my ji-chang and ba-changs that attended temple in those days, were trying to tell me something. So as I come to this time in my life, and I retired, I have a wonderful partner there. He makes my life very, very meaningful as well. I've come to realize it is not about me. And having the pandemic in New York City has taught me that it's about us coming together. And in the Jodo Shinshu tradition, we have that Ondobo Ondogyo. Travelers on the same path, travelers in the same practice. You know, we're holding each other's hands. We need each other to go through anything and everything. So these are things that have helped share, or helped hopefully make my life more meaningful. And I just wanted to share these thoughts with you. There are many other stories, but at the same time, I can only say how grateful I am. But the most important part that I woke up to when I was reading the Gobunsho it is, and I talked to the teachers about it, I think it's on the, let's see, in Japanese, 仏の方より往生は事情をせしめ、仏の方より from the side of the Buddha, not through my efforts. The Buddha said, I will embrace each and every one of you just as you are. I'm not asking you to change, but I want you to be yourself. Be the best you can ever be, but be yourself, not somebody else that you want to be. So I'm pushing this Butsu no Katayori so people will have a greater impact on everybody, because it does have a great impact on me. The Buddha accepts, embraces a Pakatare like me, a foolish being, an evil person. How grateful I am. So again, I'd like to express my gratitude to Sensei, to all of you coming here to Makawao, and all the many, many wondrous people I've met along my way. Again, it's been a privilege. I'll continue to do whatever I can, and as we're joking, the best way to end the career of a minister is to take away the microphone. I'll try my best to give you the mic, okay? But I just want to say thank you, everybody, for making the journey wonderful. Namo Amidas. Namma Namo. Namma Namo. Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you. Yeah, come down this way. Go back here. Either way.
Mahalo, Reverend Nikita, for sharing your Dharma message this morning. Thank you very much. Okay. Please rise if you're able to, and let us sing the hymn Ondoku-san 2. The words will be shown on the screen.
And the computer died.
Okay, we'll conclude.
Note to self, remember plug in power supply. So we'll do it a cappella.
Okay, we will end our service with a Nembutsu. Please be seated.
Okay, the only important announcement that I can remember is that next week, no service here. We're having Fujimatsuri at Wailuko Hongwanji. If you'd like to go, please sign up. We already have people signed up. But yeah, so next week, don't come here. Go to Wailuko Hongwanji. Otherwise, what else was there?
The next 2 Sundays, we have, after that, we have regular service.
Regular service.
Mm-hmm. And on June 1st, we'll be having a bone dance practice. Yay! At 7 o'clock in the social hall. It's a Wednesday night. It's only one practice. Okay, 7 o'clock in the social hall. June 1st. Put that on your calendar. Okay. And
sorry, we have faulty memory. Oh, Mimi's waving her hand.
I just want to thank to Reverend. He just not visiting us. He gave us the Dharma talk, but also he arranged the flower. Last week I was so busy at work and came back exhausted, and he came back from drive and then Mimi, can I help something? So can you do the flowers? He said, okay, so he did that, so thank you.
Guest ministers get dragged into everything. I'll just give you one comment that Reverend Earl, Reverend Nikita, is one of the reasons I ended up in ministry. Mimi and I had moved to Honolulu, and we just noticed, hey, there's a Hongwanji temple, let's go see it next Sunday. We walk in, saw Reverend Earl, gives a very powerful Dharma talk, and made me think. And then it's refreshments time, and he walks in wearing t-shirts and board shorts and slippers. I want to be a minister like that. And then he was going off to New York, but I just remembered as just thinking, I want to be a minister like that. So anyway, one of the reasons I'm here is Reverend Nikita, so thank you very much. And next time, remember, plug in the computer so we have slides. So now I think it's just any other announcements? If not, we'll just go to the social hall. Thank you very much.